You've been unable to answer specific questions. Sir, you are the wrong person for this job. And you had in this hearing today the unmitigated gall to say at the beginning of your testimony that China is ahead of the United States in healthcare because China does not have DEI.
I didn't say that.
Well, we can roll back the tape. You absolutely did.
And you will find I didn't say that.
That is absolutely what you said.
Well, for one thing, Senator Cassidy, you're talking about neurodegenerative disease now.
For example, ALS or Alzheimer's.
ALS, right? The Chinese are not spending a lot of money on DEI, and and we are cutting those.
It seems like Donald Trump's cabinet secretaries are in a competition for who can be worst at their job. And all of America is losing because Kristi Noem has made Homeland Security a mess while Pete H. Guillotot is putting cocktails back at the Pentagon. And RFK Jr.'s lies are putting thousands of children's lives in danger every day. And it was those lies that Chris Murphy ripped into RFK Jr. for because he perjured himself multiple times. RFK Jr. melted down during this call out. We're going to get into it all, but before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already, and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, let's check out Senator Murphy just rip into RFK Jr.
Needed it, so.
I think you're going to find a lot of support on this committee for that. Senator Murphy.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Secretary Kennedy, I want to talk to you about your relationship with this committee and this Congress. I want to talk to you about the statements that you made to the chairman of this committee and to members of this committee during your confirmation hearing about vaccines. You didn't tell the truth. I find that to be really dangerous for our relationship. If I were the chairman who believes in vaccines and voted for you because he believed what you said about supporting vaccines, my head would be exploding. In the hearing, you told us, quote, "I will not work to impound, divert, or otherwise reduce any funding appropriated by Congress for the purpose of vaccination programs." That's not the truth. You've done exactly. Let me finish my question.
Yeah, I didn't hear what you said. I'm just asking you to repeat it so I can understand your question.
During the hearing, I'll repeat it. During the hearing, you said to this committee and to the Finance Committee, "I will not work to impound, divert, or otherwise reduce funding appropriated by Congress for the purpose of vaccination programs." That is not what happened. You've done the opposite. You canceled $12 billion in grants to the states, including my state, that are used to administer and track vaccines. You promised Chairman Cassidy.
When did I do that?
Madam Chair, would you allow me to finish my question?
Keep going with your question.
When did I do that?
Let me finish my question.
Accusation. Just tell me when I did it so I can understand what the question is.
You have canceled $12 billion in public health grants to states, whether you know this or not. That funding is used by the states in part to be able to administer and dispense information about vaccines. Mr. Secretary, let me give you the full panoply of
accusations,
the things you said before this committee that didn't turn out to be true. You also promised Chairman Cassidy that the FDA would not change vaccine standards from, quote, historical norms. But what happened as soon as you were sworn in? You announced new standards for vaccine approvals that you proudly referred to in your own press release as a radical departure from current practice. And experts say that that departure will delay approvals. You also said, specific to the measles vaccine, that you support the measles vaccine. But you have consistently been undermining the measles vaccine. You told the public that the vaccine wanes very quickly. You went on the Dr. Phil show and said that the measles vaccine was never fully tested for safety. You said there's fetal debris in the measles vaccine. And this morning—
All true.
This morning in front of—
Do you want me to lie to the public?
That's not— none of that is—
Of course it's true. Of course it's true, Senator. You're Senator begging your progress. You do not know what you're talking about.
For the record.
Let's have a little bit of order so that you can get
Madam
your
Chair,
question
I'm speaking. I didn't ask for a response yet.
I understand.
I'd like to lay out the predicate of my question before I'm interrupted by the witness. He should have some respect for this committee.
Go ahead.
Just this morning in front of the House of Representatives, you also said that you, in fact, would not recommend that kids get vaccinated for measles. You said you would just lay out the pros and cons. Okay, so this is the summation of everything that you have said to compromise people's faith in the measles vaccine in particular is contrary to what you said before this committee. You said you support the measles vaccine, but then you have laid out a set of facts that are contested, and I will submit information for the record from experts who contest what you've said about the vaccine, and the result is to undermine faith in the vaccine. It's kind of like saying, listen, I think you should swim in that lake, but, the lake is probably toxic, and there's probably a ton of snakes and alligators in that lake, but I think you should swim in it. Nobody's going to swim in that lake if that's what you say. And so I want you to acknowledge that when you say you support the measles vaccine, and then go out and repeatedly undermine the vaccine with information that is contested by public health experts, that is not supporting the vaccine. And so I guess I have two simple questions for you. One is, can you clarify what you said in the House this morning? Are you or are you not recommending that families get their children vaccinated, or are you just giving people the pros and cons? And do you understand that when you say these things about the measles vaccine, what ends up happening is less people get the vaccine? That may be what you want, but do you understand that the result of constantly questioning the efficacy or safety of the vaccine results in less people getting the vaccine? So I don't necessarily want to spend the remaining 20 seconds in an argument over the science, but do you at least understand that that's the consequence of what you're saying? And are you actually still recommending people get the vaccine, or are you not?
Senator, if I advised you to swim in a lake that I knew there to be alligators in, wouldn't you want me to tell you there were alligators in it?
So are you recommending the measles vaccine or not?
What I've said and what I said...
It doesn't sound like you are, if that's...
Are you going to let me answer? Are you going to keep interrupting?
Are you or are you not?
Are you going to let me answer? What I pledged before this committee during my confirmation is that I would tell the truth, that I would have radical transparency. I'm going to tell the truth about everything we know and we don't know about vaccines.
Are you recommending the measles vaccine or not?
I am not going to just tell people everything is safe and effective if I know that there's issues. I need to respect people's intelligence.
I think you're answering the question. I think you're
And
answering the question. That's really
people,
dangerous for the American public and for families.
the reason people have lost faith in this program is because they've been lied to by public officials for year after year after year.
No longer recommending the measles vaccine.
Senator Marshall.
All right.
And by the way, I said at the hearing this morning that I was recommending the measles vaccine. Go look at the transcript.
Senator Marshall.
Madam Chairman, thank you.
I know it is the job of anyone employed by this administration to lie, to lie, to lie, to lie, and to lie on behalf of Donald Trump. But they do realize when you're doing it in a congressional hearing, you're breaking the law. RFK Jr. has consistently perjured himself within these hearings, and he's only making it that much worse that he won't admit to the fact that he is putting kids' lives at risk with his lies. I don't know how that makes America healthy, especially with what Bernie Sanders asked him right here.
68,000 people a year die because they don't get to a doctor when they should. Is healthcare a human right? Will you work with us to guarantee healthcare to every man, woman, and child in America?
Well, I think you're asking two different questions. You're asking a philosophical question about whether it is a human right, like a constitutional right. As an attorney, I would say that it's not a right of a kind that we otherwise enshrine in the Constitution, because healthcare costs your neighbor money. If I smoke cigarettes for 20 years, I make that choice, which is my choice.
I don't mean to, I don't have a lot of time, so I am here.
If you're asking me a philosophical question, I gotta, give you a thoughtful answer.
Within 30 seconds.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
So, it's not like freedom of speech, which costs, everybody.
But every other country, Mr. Secretary, every other country guarantees health care to all people as a right. Should we, as Americans?
The objective is to get Americans the level of health care that they want, the choice, which Americans want.
They don't want the choice to be uninsured.
Well, but
they don't want the choice to die because they don't get to a doctor on time.
Americans prefer private insurance to other insurance sources.
Healthcare is a human right, and the fact that RFK Jr. doesn't recognize that Just goes to show that his movement isn't about making anybody healthy. It's about enriching himself. That's the whole point. You know, we go back to a couple of months ago when RFK Jr. originally had his Senate confirmation hearing. Bernie Sanders was calling him out for selling anti-vax onesies on his website. How does that make anyone healthy? This is all just a big grift. That is what it all is. That is why Donald Trump's cabinet is full of Fox hosts who just want their media attention, their sound bites. We saw Kristi Noem called out for her outfit changes and cosplays during her hearing today. It's disgusting. And that's what Senator Angela Ulcer-Brooks of Maryland called out right here.
And Mr. Secretary, I'm over here. I've been sitting through this hearing all day today and have noted that you've been unable, in most instances, to answer any specific questions relating to your agency.
Because I haven't been given time.
Well, no, you have been given time, but the point of the matter is you've been unable to answer specific questions. Sir, you are the wrong person for this job, and you had in this hearing today the unmitigated gall to say at the beginning of your testimony that China is ahead of the United States in healthcare because China does not have DEI.
I didn't say that.
Well, we can roll back the tape. You absolutely
And
did
you
say
will
that.
find I didn't say that.
That is absolutely what you said.
I was talking about science, and I didn't say they're ahead of us. They're ahead of us in some forms of science, certainly not in healthcare.
Well, we can roll back the tape, but nonetheless, let me go on with my questions and ask you this. You just heard about the Safe to Sleep campaign, and you have made cuts. You made it very clear here today. You have no knowledge whatsoever of the absolutely amazing scientists and researchers who you have callously fired. You know nothing about the cuts.
You can
to
fire
agencies.
any working scientist, Senator.
That, sir, is not true either. But nonetheless,
But it
let me
is
ask
true.
you- it is not true. Let me ask
It
you
is
another.
true.
This man was never qualified for his job. He should have never had it, and he shouldn't right now. People's lives are in danger because of RFK Jr. are endangered to treatable diseases that we've had cures for decades. This is embarrassing. Sure, it is scary. Sure, it is frightening. But it's also just embarrassing. People this stupid should not be this high up in government. My God, how much more do you have to say than that? I don't know. But I think the senators did a great job doing it, and we're going to keep elevating their voices. We're going to keep talking about it on this show every single day. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, you can drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.